Welcome to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. Mr. Barber is a preacher, a ventriloquist, a barefoot runner, and writes 2 blogs. When Jerrie communicates, he encourages people, try not to learn very much. Find a mustard seed. In the next few minutes, try not to learn very much. Look for something you can do to move a mountain, remove a stumbling block, or provide a stepping stone for yourself or someone else. And now, here's Jerrie with this week's mustard seed.
In the previous 4 episodes, I've been discussing our attitude toward criticism. If you haven't listened, episodes 12 to 15 will give a good context for this discussion. Many people say they don't mind constructive criticism. Proverbs 15, 31 and 32 talks about that. If you listen to constructive criticism, you will be at home among the wise. If you reject discipline, you only harm yourself. But if you listen to correction, you grow in understanding. But listen to the way I've heard that invited. I don't mind as long as it's constructive criticism, but if it isn't constructive criticism, I don't want to hear it. The way I hear that statement, if you want to compliment and praise me for the great things I'm doing, I'll listen as long as you can talk. If you think I've done anything unwise or wrong, I don't want to hear it. I want to hear what people think and feel. I'll decide if it's constructive or destructive. When I have a "what do you think about the preacher" night, inviting everyone to tell me how I can improve, I make 3 promises. 1, I'll listen to what you say. 2, I'll write it down. 3, I'll think about it. During the thinking promise, I'll evaluate whether what each person has said is helpful, hurtful, or neither. And the time to think gives me space to decide if I want to act on the suggestion and what, if any, response I'll make. Proverbs 17:10, a sensible person accepts correction, but you can't beat sense into a fool. Proverbs 19:25, if you punish a mocker, the simple-minded will learn a lesson. If you correct the wise, they will be all the wiser. Here's the goal of the study on criticism. When someone criticizes me, and when I criticize another person, the criticizer tells as much or more about themselves as the one being criticized. Proverbs 26:2 is key. Curses will not harm someone who is innocent. They are like sparrows or swallows that fly around and never land. When I overreact to a critical comment, I'm empowering the criticizer and inviting more criticism. I don't need to let criticisms land if they aren't correct. Russell Lyons says, the only way to accept an insult is to ignore it. If you can't ignore it, top it. And if you can't top it, laugh at it. If you can't laugh at it, it's probably deserved. Proverbs 27, 5, 6, and 17. Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. When a person openly rebukes me, I know where we stand. If someone loves me and never tells me, I have no idea about our relationship. Proverbs 29:1. If you get more stubborn every time you are corrected, one day you'll be crushed and never recover. I decide how I will respond to someone who criticizes. Proverbs 29:11. A fool always loses his temper, but a wise man holds it back. Kenneth Joines told a story that illustrated this. He wrote, "As we get older, we learn slowly that we don't need to respond to every attack made on us. I remember well a speech class section with Dr. Carroll Ellis of David Lipscomb University when I was a student there. He said, 'If some guy walks back and forth carrying a sign that says, Carroll Ellis is a nut, a few people will probably believe him. But if I start carrying a sign that says, Carroll Ellis is not a nut, a whole lot of people will believe him then.' Now for the bottom piece of bread and our criticism sandwich. Ecclesiastes 7:2-6. It is better to go to a funeral than to a party. We all must die, and everyone living should think about this. Sorrow is better than laughter, and sadness has a good influence on you. A wise person thinks about death, but a fool thinks only about having a good time. It is better to be criticized by a wise person than to be praised by a fool. The laughter of fools is like the crackling of thorns in a cooking fire. Both are useless. Comfort and pleasure are not the primary aims of a life well lived." The other side of a card picked up in the auditorium in Dalton, Georgia, November 1977, that we referred to in an early episode. It said, "Our preacher is too young, too immature, too trite. I get nothing from his services, and now he is my Sunday school teacher too." On the other side it said, "I hate everything and everybody. When I hear someone laugh, I want to hit them. Why should they have something to laugh about when I don't?" Barbara Johnson, writer and speaker, founder of Spatula Ministries, for scraping parents off the ceiling whose children are driving them up the wall, made this statement: "Hurt people hurt people." I have a link in the show notes to the 1-hour workshop, How to Accept, Invite, and Enjoy Criticism. 2 quotes to conclude the series. "Criticism may be slightly more tolerable than a root canal, but that doesn't mean we should avoid it. In fact, we should invite it. Criticism is the breakfast of champions." Michael Woodruff made that statement. Charles Reynolds Brown commented, "The man who does not know and does not know that he does not know and is not willing that anyone should tell him that he does not know had better not enter the ministry. He had better raise sweet potatoes."
Thank you for listening to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. If you found a mustard seed, send a text or email with the link to a friend. This podcast was brought to you by Jerrie Wayne Barber, sales manager with AmeriPro Roofing. AmeriPro Roofing has been around since the year 2000 and has had an office in Franklin, Tennessee for the last 10 years. We have installed well over 200,000 roofs nationwide and are excellent at replacing roofs, gutters, and siding. We are reasonably priced and outstanding at working with your insurance, which helps minimize your out-of-pocket expense. If you would like a free inspection of your roof and other exteriors, please call Jerrie Barber at 931-628-3390 for an appointment in Middle Tennessee. AmeriPro Roofing. Standards through the roof. Thank you for listening. Jerrie looks forward to next week as we continue to collect and plant mustard seeds.